Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Well, by request, we have another pistol video for you here today. We're going to be having a look at the Switch Gun by Standard Manufacturing. Can a folding 5-shot 22 Magnum be a good option for self-defense? Well, we're going to take a look at its features and try to answer that question in just a minute. Alright, once again, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. If this is your first time coming to the channel, or if you've been watching our videos before and you just haven't had a chance to do so, and you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can locate that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your computer screen there, or if you're on a mobile device, you can scroll down below the video and you can hit the subscribe button that way. It's a simple thing that helps us out a whole lot, and we really, really appreciate it. So, the Switch Gun. I got my chance to get my hands on this thing a few weeks back. Someone had one at the range, and it was the coolest thing ever. So I said, let me check this out. And I thought to myself, I've had my hands on lots of Derringers before, and the one thing that always bothers me about Derringers is you don't have a whole lot of grip. Well, even though we're not to the features just yet, the whole claim to fame for this thing is you got a button right here and it flips out. And you have this entire polymer handle with which to hold the firearm. Now, this addresses one of my chief complaints with most Derringers, is I don't really have a good place to put my hand. But let me fold this back up for a second. You push this little lever here at the top to collapse it. And let me give you a good idea of the size of this thing. We always do this, normally with other guns. But I think a better way to show you this is take something a lot more common, and that's a credit card. Check that out. You want to talk about a gun that's small, that folds up in your pocket. This thing barely, this thing is barely larger than the footprint of a credit card. And it's not terribly thick either. Now, if you take a look at it, you could see that, we're right at 3/4 of an inch as far as the width of this thing. And like I said, beyond that, you already know the dimensions are basically about like a credit card, so it's extremely small. I've looked at lots of small guns before, different options, things that can go in your pocket, but I've never seen something quite like this. It'll start off that small and actually have a usable handle once you take it out. Well, we're going to jump right into the features here, but before we do, let's take a moment to thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this beautiful example of the Switch Gun by Standard Manufacturing. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearms safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So we'll do this like we normally do, and we'll kind of do a top-down presentation. But before I do any of that, I'm going to do a couple things here. The first thing is I'm going to actually fold it out using the switch. You can see right here this button. You pull it down and it just spring loads right open. Now if you look, you can see the edge of each cylinder here. I'm just going to manually run this hammer back so you can see that there's nothing in any of these cylinders here without actually taking this apart. You can see daylight there. We are empty all the way around, so we have an unloaded firearm. Okay. Now, this is a single action handgun, and when you thumb the hammer back, once that's back, you can look down and you can see there's a notch at the top there, and it's as far as tiny guns go, it's pretty effective for sighting. This is not made for precision shooting anyway, obviously, with a 3/4 of an inch barrel. This is definitely a emergency, desperate times, hey, I'm glad I had this in my pocket, get off me and you go your way, I'll go my way. That's exactly what this is designed to do. As far as taking that cylinder out to load it, you've got this lever right here, and it's spring loaded, it pulls down and it has a pin attached to it. When you pull that pin all the way out, you can tip this barrel out to the right side. And literally that's all you have to do. You load it, you tip it back in, and then you center the pin up and stick it back in, and it's ready to go. That's literally all there is to it. Of course, to close the unit back, you've got this switch here on top. You have to push it forward, okay, to get it to collapse. Your trigger, of course, there's your hammer. Your trigger is right here, and you can see it's got cuts in it, so you've got good grip with your finger. You come in there, and that's that. You thumb it again. So as you can see, it is a single action. All of this is constructed of machined stainless steel, and of course this is polymer. So it's not bad, and they've actually put a little texturing on this one side, and when you hold it in your hand, it actually feels pretty good. It's obviously a little small gun, and when you fire that .22 Magnum, if you've ever fired .22 Magnum, you know that it's got quite a bit more punch than .22, and of course it's very loud. So when you're shooting this, that's one thing I will tell you. We'll cover that in the range section, but make sure you bring your ear pro, because this is going to be very loud coming out of that little barrel. But it's very simple. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's a good little design. It deploys quickly. It goes back discreetly folded quickly and can go right back in your pocket. So it's a pretty neat little setup. Okay, so talking about the range, I'm not going to really spend a whole lot of time on this because of two reasons. Number one, this gun is not supposed to be a real precise weapon. Let's just face it. This is a 3/4 inch barrel. It is definitely a short range weapon if there ever was one. Now, having said that, I actually don't dislike the trigger on this. When you bring the hammer back, the amount of pressure that it takes to pull the trigger, it's definitely something you have to make an effort to pull the trigger, but it's a very positive break, which I like. So it takes a little effort to push through, but it's very deliberate, and it breaks exactly the same way every time. So for the size of weapon that this is, and the simplicity of this trigger mechanism, I think it's pretty nice. Now, we want to talk about accuracy. I mean, at 21 feet, which is typically where I practice for self-defense, yes, I can hit the broadside of a barn, but you're literally talking about if you're shooting at a target that at 21 feet, I could have rounds anywhere inside of a circle, that's 6 or 7 inches in diameter, and that seems like a pretty poor performance at 21 feet, and in some ways it is. But I also fired this at 7 feet. And at 7 feet away, I can, make a group that's just a few inches across. And for the purpose of the firearm, if I can have rounds come out of this, thumbing each round and having to fire, and I can still get inside of a space of about 4 or 5 inches, I feel pretty good about that, especially with what this is designed to do. So it's a very simple design. Like I say, it's got a very repeatable trigger on it. And it's not the most accurate thing in the world, but I think for the size and what type of gun it is, it's not bad. And the grip, having this large grip that's part of its fold-out design, makes it a lot easier to stabilize your shots than you would think. Certainly more so than with a Derringer. And so for that reason, I think it's actually a really good option. If I was choosing between a Derringer and something like this, I would definitely choose this. So what's it like to carry the switch gun? Well, obviously this was designed to drop right into a pocket. So I didn't bother trying to put this inside of anything else. This design is made exactly so it can drop right into a pocket. Now, what I did find interesting is that the shape is just about right if I'm wearing dress pants. On my dress pants, usually I have an inner pocket. There's the main pocket, and then I have a small inner pocket. This will actually fit right snugly in my inner pocket. That kind of keeps it, facing the way I want it to. And when you think about it, with the size of this and the way it deploys, the only way that you're really going to be holding it anyway, would be like this, so you can actually open the weapon up. But I mean, if you're carrying something like this and your situational awareness has alerted you to something that you don't like, obviously you should already have this, either in your hand or getting your hand nearby, getting ready, so that you're not trying to look at danger and deploy your weapon at the same time. You should, have a plan for that. But I know that in my case, I found that I could reach into my pocket, I can grab it from this side, and then have my thumb ready, and then I could open it and then transition my hand to a shooting position very easily. So it's a really good design as far as I'm concerned for what it's supposed to do, and it's definitely a pocket gun, and that's the only way I've carried it. And denim, it was pretty comfortable, and of course I've got cargo shorts. I've tried putting it in little outside pockets, and that was nice as well. So it's one of the easiest to carry things that you can possibly imagine, so no worries. Overall impressions of the Switch gun by Standard Manufacturing. For what this is designed to do, I think they've done a really, really good job. As I said, when I saw this at the range several weeks back by surprise, I was really excited to go get my hands on it. Not because I thought it was going to have, awesome range performance and massive accuracy. I just figured that something like this, as cool as it is, it would be neat to see exactly what it's like and how easy it is for it to unfold and fold back, and see how it shoots. Just have a little fun with it. And as simple of a design as this is, I think they've done a really good job with it. You can pull this out of your pocket and deploy just in a second, and the firearm is ready to go. It's the grip that it folds into is large enough. I've got a pretty good size hand, so I think even if you have much larger hands, even more than mine, I think you'd be able to do this comfortably. And manipulating the controls, once again, the trigger, it takes a little bit of effort. There is some pressure on that trigger, but it's very consistent. So it would be nothing to take repeated shots with this and get a lot of consistency. And I found that the more shots I took, the better I got. It's like anything else. You have to get used to it, obviously, because it's kind of a small and unusual design, but it seems to work well. Of course, then there's the pros, and there's the cons. The only really con, I guess, for something like this, it depends on how you look at it. There's going to be a lot of people who would never carry something like this because they have an issue with the capacity. It only carries 5 rounds. Well, as I've mentioned many times, I routinely leave the house with a 5-shot .38 revolver, and I trust my life to that every single day. And I don't have an issue with low-capacity guns because obviously my hope is that I'm never involved in a situation like that. And if I am, if I can't get out of trouble with 5 rounds, then I'm probably in more trouble than I'm going to get out of anyway. And that's just my view. But there are people who legitimately are not comfortable with that low of a count. And then the other thing is, compared to some of the other Derringers, they may have an objection to the price. It's not terrible. The MSRP on this is $450. There are a lot of Derringers that are cheaper than that, and there are some that are in the same neighborhood. But a lot of people would not be willing to pay that much money for something like this when they could, spend $100 or so more and have a big name concealed carry pistol, that's reliable in a more standard caliber like a 9mm or something like that. And I get that. To me, this is not the kind of gun that someone's going to buy that's their only gun, if you understand what I'm saying. This is an extra. This is something that you would, for me, this is a gun that keep in the safe, and if I'm leaving the house wearing something extremely light, a pair of jogging shorts with a small zip-up pocket or something like that, this, when it's folded, can go right in that little bitty pocket, and it'd be the same way with any other item of clothing where you don't have much capacity. So with all the features that you get and the simplicity of use, it's a nice design. I think it's a really good take on an idea that people have tried before. So I think it's a nice little gun. So anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. And of course, we appreciate you being with us once again. We'll be back soon with another video for you. So as always, until that time, everybody be safe and have a great day. Thank you.